Hey YouTube, today we're going to be talking about the Saddleback leather classic briefcase. What I have for you today are two different examples of the briefcase. In the back we have a large dark coffee brown case, and in the front we have a medium tobacco brown briefcase. Now if you're like me, you've probably looked at other YouTube videos and different blogs describing these bags. And what I'm going to be doing today is talking about the specifics of the bags, so probably things you've heard of before. And then I'm going to be talking about my experiences with my large dark coffee brown bag. And then I'll be giving you a comparison between the two sizes and the two different colors, and basically giving you an overview of what I think the medium bag is good for and what the large bag is good for. Alright, so let's get into it. Alright, so now let's talk about the materials that make up this bag. First we have the full grain leather. And this is important because full grain leather is made out of the entire cowhide, as opposed to top grain leather and some other leathers that are only made out of a portion of the hide. Full grain leather is the strongest type of leather you can actually buy. So then we have the thread. The thread itself is a marine grade quality thread. It is highly corrosion resistant and it holds up very well to the elements. In a similar fashion, we have these nickel plated hardware, which are also corrosion resistant, and they also are very resistant to patina. An interesting feature is inside this bag, it is actually lined with pigskin leather. Now pigskin leather is also very rough and is actually more durable than cow leather. And this is important because it fights stains from coffee or ink stains and other types of things that can disrupt your bag from the inside. So now let's start talking about the components of the bag. On the inside, we have two quite large pockets for your files, your computer, that sort of thing. And we have two large pockets here in the front portion, and there are also two side pockets where you can put pens or notebooks or notepads. On the outside, there are also pockets on either side of the bag for your water bottles or your coffee containers. And then lastly, there's a pocket in the back here, and I found this is very useful for magazines, iPads, and other types of small travel things that you might need. So next, let's get into how this bag has held up for me and what I've used it for. Okay, so these are the types of items I will be carrying with me on a daily basis. So on the side we have a Starbucks coffee mug. And it's important to note that in either side, these side pouches, they won't hold very large diameter items, but they'll hold these smaller diameter items like this 27-ounce clean canteen and the smaller diameter Nalgene bottles. Other things I'll have in there is my laptop in my Saddleback leather laptop sleeve, maybe a couple of binders, some notebooks, and then I'll have in this front pouch my lunch bag, sunglass case, moleskine notebook. And in these two pouches, I'll usually have smaller items, like I have my laptop charger, and here I have some stuff for springtime. So for, starting to get allergy season, so I'll have medicine and stuff in there. On the right pocket, I'll have my small moleskine notebook and some pens and pencils. And then on this side, I'll have my Leatherman. Typically, during the week, I won't have anything in here, but if I'm traveling, I'll put in maps of the cities or my train tickets and things like that back in here. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's actually on my person. Alright, so now I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I carry the bag and how it's held up for me. So, as you'll see, I carry it across the chest, over one shoulder, and it kind of sits on my hip in this type of fashion. And so I mentioned before, this is a large bag, and I'm about 6'3", 220 pounds, so you can get an idea for how that sits on a person. And I carry it such that the shoulder strap, one shoulder pad is on my shoulder, and another shoulder pad is on my chest. And this displaces the weight fairly nicely. You may have read or seen in other videos where people complain about the weight of the bag. And I admit, for the first 2 weeks, I was actually a little bit concerned because it was a bit heavy, but then you get used to it. And I've actually found that the most important thing that contributes to the weight of the bag is what you put in it. So on some trips where I don't carry my laptop, say I'm going to New York to visit a friend, I'm mainly carrying clothes. When I'm not carrying my laptop, it's actually very light. So I found that depending on what you carry is really going to determine how heavy this bag is. And another interesting feature about this bag are these side straps here. And I've actually used these quite a bit. So I've used them to carry tripods, as I did today, underneath the bag. I've also used it to carry jackets if I expected it to be cold. You can actually do a lot of things with these straps, which is actually very useful. And then lastly, I wanted to tell you about how I carry it when it's very heavy or if I'm carrying it for long distances. So what I usually do then is put it into backpack mode. So you might have seen before that this bag can actually be turned into a backpack, and I'll show you 2 different ways you can do that right now. Alright, so now I want to show you 2 different ways you can make this into a backpack. First, we'll start off by taking off one of these clips. And you attach it to this lower clip here. Then you remove this clip. And then you feed it through this D-ring, or just this ring. And you have to squish this pad through, but there's no problem because it's very tough and malleable. So feed that through, and you attach it to this lower D-ring. So you see here we have the 2 different pads that you can be worn as a backpack. And the second way to convert this into a backpack is as follows. Again, we remove the D-clips on both sides. And now what you do is you take this like this, you feed it through the loop, and then what you do is you take both ends, feed this through, and then pull. You cinch them up tight, and then you affix to the bottom. And you can play with this to get the straps the length that you desire, and there you have your backpack. Alright, now that you have it in backpack mode, all you do is kind of shrug it on like so, and you have it in a backpack. Now we're going to talk about the difference between this medium tobacco brown bag and this large dark coffee brown bag. So first we're going to talk about the differences that are due to the different years. So this is about a 2009 bag. And we see here that the clasp is going to be this lobster style spring-loaded lead type clasp. Whereas on the newer bag, which is from 2012, we see these twist screw type clasps where you have to unscrew them to actually release the clasp. And now it's actually going to be different than current models. So this is a 2012 bag. 2013 bags actually come with a what they call the dog leash clasp, which includes another spring mechanism where you pull down on the knob and it releases the clasp. Secondly, this bag has 3 rivets up here near the logo, whereas this bag has 2 rivets. Again, this is indicative of a style change between roughly 2009 and 2012, but it doesn't really affect the functionality of the bag. The next most important feature and is extremely important to bag aficionados is the difference in the leather texture. So obviously there's going to be a difference in the treating between a tobacco brown bag and this dark coffee brown bag, but there's also a difference in the treatments between the 2009 models and the 2012 models. So I've heard it described that the 2009 models are very supple and almost have a buttery feel. And you can see this is very, very loose and very worn in. Whereas the dark coffee brown bag is less worn in, but it's also due to its age. But the most important feature that you can tell is the feel of this bag. I've heard it described that the dark coffee brown bag almost has a plasticky type feel. The way you feel it, it's certainly different than the supple tobacco brown bag. But what's interesting and what's important to remember is that these bags are not worn in yet. This bag is not worn in yet. I've only had it for about 6 months, and it really takes a couple years to break in. This tobacco brown bag has been worn for 5 years, and you can start seeing some of the discoloration on the back. So when you start wearing it, as it rubs up against your body, up against your jeans, whatever pants you're wearing, you'll start seeing it get discolored here. And we can see is that the same discoloration on a dark coffee brown bag doesn't show up quite as much. So you can see it, you can maybe start to see that it's darkened a little bit, but you really don't notice the drastic difference in color like you do with the tobacco brown bag. For some people, that is a good thing. They like to see the patina on their tobacco brown bags. But for me, I like the brown bag because it doesn't show as much. So now I want to show you the difference in sizes and the different things that you can carry with a medium brown bag versus this large brown bag. So what I'm going to do now is show you the difference in what you can carry between a medium and a large bag. So we see that this medium bag is chock full of stuff. And first we can notice that there's a few inch gap between the sizes of the medium and the large. So now I'm going to start transferring stuff over to the large, and we can see how much room there still is going to be left. And at this point, this medium bag is empty, but I can still go on putting more stuff into this large bag. And you can still probably put a water bottle up in here, maybe some more notebooks and such, camera. So you can see that the medium bag does not hold nearly as much as the large bag does. So with that, we're going to go on to my final thoughts about which bags are good for what. Alright, so now that I've shown you differences between these bags and how I use my bag, I want to give you my final thoughts on what I think these bags are great for. So I think the large size bag is perfect for someone who wants a mobile office and for someone who wants to be able to use this bag for weekend trips. I think you can really pack a lot of clothes in here, as I've done previously, and you can get really anything you need to as far as files for your mobile office in this bag. For the medium size bag, I really think it's ideal for kind of one-day trips or as an EDC bag. So this bag is a little bit smaller, as I showed you, and it's, in my opinion, it's perfect for maybe traveling through a city like a day trip where you're walking around, say walking around New York, you're walking around Washington DC, or if you're going for maybe a one-night stay at a particular trip. But I don't think this would be perfect for a mobile office. Maybe if you're a person who is just going to school and you only carry a small amount of things, you could do it. But for a person who is on the go a lot, doing a lot of traveling and maybe seeing clients, I don't think this bag is perfect for them. So I hope this review has been useful for you. If there's any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you're still with me, maybe you think this video deserves a like. I guess that's about it. Thanks for watching YouTube, and have a great day.